Hey, I'm FriendlyBaron. Oh, let's try again. Hey, I'm FriendlyBaron, and even simply climbing up a ladder is not safe from speedrunners in GTA 5. I've got a new round of time-save discoveries to go over, so we'll take a look at the old strat, the new strat, and then compare how they are used in the speedrun. Our opening clip starts on Mr. Richards. Normally, casual or speedrun, you would climb up the side of the building, taking out some guards on the way to get up to the helipad to continue the mission. Now, instead, the speedrunner can head around the back of the building and make use of the new ladder glitch to launch into the air, letting them skip all of the climbing. The ladder glitch works by walking, but not running as you approach the ladder. The moment that Michael's hand hits the first rung, you instead switch the holding backwards. This shoots the player up into the air, right above the helipad we need to reach for the next checkpoint. As soon as the yellow dot disappears, this means the checkpoint is reached, and the player shoots to skip the voice lines and instantly enter the cutscene. Normally when holding shift and down on a ladder, you will rapidly descend the ladder by sliding down. The reason the ladder launch works isn't too well studied, but my general thought is that by trying to enter this rapid descent state when at the exact bottom of a ladder, it somehow glitches out, giving a negative speed value which causes the launch into the air. The speedrunner spams F to get out of the animation of descending the ladder, and is oddly able to run towards the helicopter while in the air and then shoot to skip those voice lines. Compared to climbing up the front side of the building, this ladder launch strat saves 20.5 seconds, a pretty solid time save. Getting the ladder trick's timing down can be tricky, but it's worth it for that much a time save. After the cutscene from the ladder launch, the player has to fistfight Rocco here. The speedrunner originally knocked Rocco over and spammed left click to kick him, while also holding right click to aim at him, as it's faster and more consistent than punching. This has been improved that once you get him on the ground, if you get into the side position and don't hold right click to target the NPC, you can instead do these rapid tiny kicks that end up saving 4.5 seconds over the previous fight style. Jumping back to the start of this mission, previously the speedrun route included saving a fast vehicle in Michael's garage for use in this mission. We now usually have a motorcycle saved, of which the biggest time save is how quickly you can get on and start a motorcycle due to having no door to open. And when starting the actual mission, the runner can drive right up the stairs to the mission marker instead of having to park and run up them. This saves 6.5 seconds before the mission starts, and then the drive from the movie studio over to where the ladder glitch and fight with Rocco happens is another 2 seconds faster with a motorcycle due to its improved maneuverability and speed. All in all, that's 33.5 seconds saved on the mission Mr. Richards. Moving a few missions ahead, the mission Military Hardware has the speedrunner in a helicopter needing to acquire a truck, so they would land the helicopter to block the truck, take out the extra vehicles, and then drive away. By my inflection, you may be able to guess what's done now. We have a parachute, so why waste the time landing the perfectly good helicopter? The speedrunner bails out to land in the opposite lane, lining up an easy shot on the back support jeep, which brings the front jeep to a stop anyways, not needing to block it in with the landed helicopter. Good movement allows switching to the rifle to take out the driver to reduce risk of them killing the player, and they can continue on as before. This parachute strat saves 4 seconds and livens up an otherwise dull mission. The next mission to look at, Nervous Ron, starts out with a time loss. Instead of just buying the sniper and some grenades, the new speedrunner will spend an extra 1.75 seconds to buy the SMG with an extended mag to be used in the upcoming shootout in this mission, as well as a tear gas canister for a different mission. Before that shootout though, there's some other new strats. To begin the sniping section from the water tower, the speedrunner would park next to it, doing their best to land right between the side and this barrel so that they get teleported off, skipping the dismount animation, and then climbing the ladders as normal. If your attention span hasn't been ruined enough to still remember the beginning of the video, normal ladder usage is a thing of the past, and indeed here too, Trevor can be launched to the top of the tower by using the ladder launch glitch. This tower is lower than the height needed to do the ladder trick in Mr. Richards, and the speedrunners launch less here in Nervous Ron. This isn't a factor of the height of the ladder, but rather of the FPS when the trick is performed. Using Riva Tuner to have FPS hotkey limiters, the speedrunner uses 84 FPS on Mr. Richards to launch, and a slightly lower 60 FPS on Nervous Ron to launch just a bit less. This ladder launch saves 7 seconds compared to climbing up the 2 ladders normally. The next part of the mission normally is just waiting for Ron to drive over to this location near the road. However, this wait can be sped up by shooting Ron once Trevor's first voice line finishes, The next checkpoint is activated, and when retrying the mission, Ron will already be over by the road, saving 3 seconds. The grenade launcher is pre-fired right as Trevor says "son," so that the projectile arrives once the voice line finishes.
Go on, my son.
Shooting earlier would not progress Ron's position. In fact, he would be placed back before the ammo store, so it's pretty important to not blow your load too early. Blowing Trevor up instead is not ideal, as when killing the player, the reset while hitting retry mission takes longer, so it's always ideal to fail the mission a different way than blowing yourself up, hence the abuse we place upon NPCs. Onto the shootout itself. Previously, we used that grenade purchased in the ammunition store to blow up the gas station, taking out most of the NPCs in the area, and then parking and finishing the rest of the shootout on foot. Now the speedrunner will blow up the gas station using the SMG we bought instead. Pausing shooting lets the gun reload, and then they can use it to keep shooting from the ATV instead of getting off. Once enough baddies have been taken out, they can drive towards the plane and jump off, letting the next cutscene play. Looking backwards allows Ron to teleport over to the plane. If he is not there, the cutscene would not load, and Trevor would be chopped up by the plane's propeller. When done well, this shootout saves 6 seconds, minus the extra 1.75 seconds to buy the SMG, for a total of 4.25 seconds saved. The flying route at the end of the mission has been improved by about 1 second, as you can cut farther left than previously known, shortening the flight just a bit. The next mission, Crystal Maze, is where we make use of the tear gas bought in the ammunition store. Previously, the speedrunner would throw a grenade down from the top of the stairs, then run out the building. Now, the tear gas can be dropped while running, as it has a longer delay before it does enough damage to set off the explosions, beginning them at the same point the grenade did, still giving enough time to escape the house before the explosions knock Trevor over. This saves a clean 1 second due to not needing to stop and turn around to throw and instead dropping while moving. More Trevor shootout improvement is found in Mr. Phillips. Pass this section as quickly as possible, a minimum amount of NPCs need to be killed, and then Trevor can die to fail the mission and reset to the new checkpoint back in the truck. A more efficient route has been found that keeps Trevor in this area to the left instead of going into the center, shooting from a farther distance with the pistol, and then using this larger gas tank to mission fail and reset at the end. This shootout improvement saves 4.5 seconds, and a reminder from my casual vs speedrun series, the reason the runner looks down while blowing up the house is to skip the slowdown. By not looking at it, the game stays normal speed. The next section, pushing Ortega's trailer into the river, it was found using controller is faster here, and manually stopping the truck at the end instead of letting it fully push the trailer also is faster. As well, we no longer need to shoot at Ortega, just aim and run away, saving 3 seconds total between those 3 strats. Another 1 second time save is at the end of the mission. Spamming the change character button coming up to the final marker helps ensure a short voice line is playing as the runner arrives, preventing waiting at the marker for a longer dialogue to finish. In the next mission, Trevor Phillips Industries, the shootout is done in 3 general parts. Starting in the second section, we would previously stay on the roof and shoot from afar, taking out the vehicles as they approach, then jump down onto the road to continue the next part in a similar fashion. The new method is rather more aggressive. At first it looks mostly the same, however the runner is quicker to turn around and take out the vehicle coming from behind, and then they move down to get a line of sight on the final car sooner. From here, they can fail the mission by blowing themselves up, as when the next checkpoint is activated by finishing off the last car, the respawn point is set in the store with the final set of enemies already arriving. Ortega is the driver as we didn't kill him in the previous mission, but besides that, the number of enemies that spawn is the same. This new shootout saves 9 seconds due to being able to move between the second and third section of the shootout quicker. There are some new strats for Paleto Score setup when it's not being skipped with on mission 0. When driving to the main part of the mission, the runner holds their phone up approaching the marker. Holding the phone up blocks dialogue from playing the whole drive over, and they bring it down at this last moment, which means no voice line is still playing when they come to a stop, allowing the cutscene to begin instantly. This saves about 1 second usually, though you could get lucky with the voice lines before where they would line up perfectly by chance. After shooting the alarm at the bank to see the response, originally the runner would have to wait the entire scripted time for the sequence to play out, which basically took a minute and a half. It was then found you could save 6 seconds by getting out of the car before Michael and Trevor's final voice lines would play, which would skip the talking and progress to Trevor getting out of the vehicle. This has been expanded to skip even more voice lines. The runner sits as far back as possible and watches for the cops to spawn in. Once they do, the player continually gets in and out of the vehicle, which skips all of the radio cop voice lines, and then the ending voice lines as before, saving an additional 18 seconds over the previous method, for a total of 24 seconds compared to fully waiting for all voice lines to play. This brings the section from 1.5 minutes to just 1 minute 6 seconds. The mission legal trouble shows a common thing that has to be done between missions. When wanting to start a mission directly after a previous one, you have to go a minimum distance away before the next mission spawns in. This is most commonly done by simply driving away and turning around at a known marking point that is far enough away, as is shown here. However, this distance check is not just horizontal distance, but any distance. We can't do ladder glitch to go up far enough to respawn the mission, but due to the laws of gravity, going down is easy. Behind this building, there is a mapping error, leaving a hole in this wall you can run through. Once you fall down and hit the bottom of the void, you are teleported back to the surface, and the new mission has spawned in and is available to start. In slow motion, you can see the mission marker for legal trouble appear just before we bottom out, as that's the same distance vertically down that we drove in the car before. As with almost all speedrun strats, it is not as simple as running into the wall and falling down. The timing of when the runner starts moving in a circle has to be done right, otherwise you won't teleport back in front of the stairs. If too far south, you'll end up on the highway and have to spend 30 seconds or so driving back to the mission start anyways. If too far north, you'll be on the street and only have to spend 5 seconds hopping over the wall. When done perfectly though, this strat saves 11.5 seconds compared to the old drive out and back. On the Packman mission, we unfortunately still have to drive the truck up the road, but it's a fair bit more fun now. The truck is driven into the sewer as it's a smoother and faster surface. As well, by wiggling the truck back and forth, the truck can self-generate curb boost. I've gone deeper into this in my weird strat videos, but basically when the suspension is compressed in GTA 5, usually when going over a curb or big jump, the engine is given a small RPM boost for some reason, which leads to an increase in speed. A tall vehicle with soft suspension like this truck can make their own curb boost by wiggling back and forth. Since it's such a slow vehicle, it's not that much faster, but it does save 8 seconds over the normal drive. Getting out of vehicles for a while, and Paleto Score, when entering the vault, the mission progresses once Gustavo's voice line finishes. By punching him right as the dialogue normally starts, this voice line doesn't play, letting the cutscene begin 2.5 seconds earlier. After exiting the bank, we normally would blow ourselves up as Trevor to force a mission reset after exploding the helicopter, despawning all the cops and bringing up the teammates to our position. If you remember the notes about blowing ourselves up from Nervous Ron, the improvement here is to fail the mission a different way. We now instead drop C4 while running initially, and blow them up, which kills Michael instead. By failing a mission this way, we still get the mission reset, but without the black screen delay that dying via killing the main character gives, saving 2.5 seconds. The next part of the mission, we would blow up both armored cars, shoot 2 NPCs, then 2 police cars at the end. It's been found to be 1 second faster to run in first person, and only blow up the last 2 cars as soon as possible. It's only necessary to destroy those last 2 cars to move on to the next cutscene. In the final shootout in the meat factory, I last covered an ongoing progression where runners were starting to use the unarmored Franklin to move through the shootout instead of the slow and heavily armored Michael. Even though it's harder and riskier to use Franklin, as speedrunners have improved at the game, Franklin's use here has become common. Additionally, there was an inconsistency in how fast the train we jumped onto at the end appeared. Thanks to detective work by Gogsi in the game code, the way to consistently get a fast train has been found. From this clip, this part of the overlay is showing how many NPC spawn points in this room that the runner is looking at. As the player looks backwards into the building, they begin blocking more and more spawn points, because a spawn point is blocked for NPCs when the player is looking at it. For the logic of when the train arrives, it happens when NPCs fail to spawn 15 times, so blocking the spawns ensures that happens as fast as possible. This saves 11 seconds or so compared to an average slower train. For the mission Predator, before starting the mission, we have to switch off Trevor after hanging up the phone call from Franklin. It was found to be half a second faster to be in first person here, as the answering and hanging up animations are faster in first person. Unfortunately, that very cool and epic strat is no longer relevant due to this next find. Previously, we would then wait as Michael for the text from Lester letting us know the mission military hardware was available to start, which we need before starting Predator as it comes right after. This would take quite a while, along with taking a random amount of time until it comes in. There was a way to manipulate the text we want to come in sooner. The runner moves away from where the mission ended, and it's known that the military hardware text gets queued to be given to the player 30 seconds after they hang up on Franklin. So the speedrunner made a mental note on their run timer when they hung up, and then calls the blimp with 20 seconds left, as this resets the timer of when the text can come in, and then they hold up the phone until the text is about to come in. This saves 9 seconds, but also guarantees the right text comes in every time. Once actually starting Predator, new brake boosts have been found on this starting drive, even coming on and off of curbs, allowing the runner to have enough speed to jump this gap and drive about 6 seconds faster than no brake boosting, and 4.5 seconds over the drive where we just did one big brake boost on the easy part. In Reuniting the Family, we normally started the tattooing part of the mission by going around the side of the mission marker and driving right up to the door, as being out of the vehicle and near the door is when the next cutscene begins. Thanks to improved brake boosting here, the runner can now be traveling much faster approaching, and they can drive on the left side of the marker and slide against the wall, allowing them to still be close to the door. Since Michael is blocked from getting out of the passenger seat by his kid, he instantly teleports out and the cutscene begins. We can actually pause and see the single frame Michael exist outside the car before the game then detects you are being on foot and continues, saving 1.5 seconds over the old method of arrival. A while ago, it was found by accident that by hitting an NPC with the car door was a way to shock the kids in the car, which cancels their voice lines for the rest of the drive, ensuring no voice line is playing when arriving at the next part of the mission, delaying a cutscene there. Now, you'll see the runner shooting a taser gun while running over to the car. This also plays the "Whoa, crazy dad" voice line, which stops further voice lines. That saves maybe 1/10 of a second over turning the car to hit an NPC. More importantly though, the taser specifically is used because it doesn't count as doing a crime. Shooting a gun or hitting a pedestrian counts as a crime in GTA 5, and in a mission, once doing one crime, the chances of getting cops on you is greatly increased. So by shooting the taser instead of slapping an NPC with a car door, it guarantees a good voice line without this risk, while also saving a small amount of time. The strats when arriving to the next part of the mission being discussed here has been updated as well. Previously, we drive down the side of the road and do a bit of a jump over the highway into the driveway. A more northerly and direct route can be taken instead, leading into a bigger jump over the whole lower road, smashing into the garage at full speed. There's a specific lineup for this jump. The left side of the car should just barely not hit these two large rocks, and then the center of the car should go between these bushes on the very edge. Hit those marks and you'll fly right down to the correct spot. As well, the runner now jumps out right before hitting the marker, which stops Amanda's voice line from playing, which saves an extra 5 seconds on top of the 6.5 seconds the new route and jump save, for a total of 11 seconds in this part of the mission. All of the strats covered in this video add up to 160 seconds, which comes out to 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And there's a ton more to cover. There are quite a few strats left to explain in this format, easily another 20 to 30 minutes of strats here that will help explain how the speedrun's world record is down to 5 hours 42 minutes. So please excuse these being mostly older strats as I work through my backlog. If you'd like to help lower the world record yourself, I get comments often wondering how stunters could find some crazy skips in the game still, like things seen in my crazy strat videos. One potential is back from the start of the video. It may be possible to use the motorcycle wall riding trick to fly up a wall in Mr. Richards somewhere like these clips. Myself, Alex, and Merlot have been unable to find the right spot, so I'd be happy if someone else could figure it out. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if I have to make any corrections, they'll be in the pinned comment.